all of us are quite intricate matrices. We're composed of our biologies, our psychologies, how we relate to our intimate relationships, how we relate to our families, our cultures, the communities that you and I live in, ultimately how we relate to our spiritualities and our framework for meaning, and how all those different wings of that matrix interrelate with each other. One small change can change the entire matrix, can make a new Amy. Well, the Amy that you're about to see, where I'm using the case approach with her, about 2 years ago, something happened that made her a new and different Amy. As she, in the same sense that the Amy that we just interviewed, has a younger generation that has moved in with a grandchild, and yeah, it's hectic and it's tough. The situation's just a little bit different. With Amy number 2, 2 years ago, her only son and her only grandson were tragically killed in a car wreck. The daughter-in-law, who Amy really, really loved, came to move in and did indeed bring the remaining grandchild. So we're in the same situation in that there's a new grandchild running around all through the house. There's lots of stresses on this elder couple, both Amy and her husband, etc. But the new entity or process is death. And from 2 years ago onwards, this Amy is not doing very well. She has continued to go through a very, very deep and prolonged grief. And so that's the Amy that just walked into your office or my office. And we're going to use the same approach of the case approach. You're going to see us. In fact, we're going to pick this up in the recent events of the case approach. We use the same types of questions, but because we know how to use these questions, we know how people answer them, the answers that we get are going to give us very powerful impressions about the dangerousness of this Amy. And we also know that we have specific tools for hunting for a method of choice. Let me describe a couple of the things that are a little bit different about this particular Amy. You got the situational change in the matrix. How about the case approach itself? Well, in the presenting event, Amy handled it fairly well, Amy number 2, pretty similar to Amy number 1, except there was one very intriguing difference. If you recall with Amy 1, when I first asked her about suicide, she started to talk sort of on and on for a while. In fact, if you remember, I said, boy, I don't have to do much work here. In that spontaneous material that she presented then, she talked about thoughts of overdosing, and she mentioned that she thought of shooting herself. That's not the case with this Amy. She does not mention the gun at that point spontaneously, although she does openly talk about her thoughts of overdosing. So there's one difference that has occurred as the case approach has been unfolding. There's a second one. In the recent events, if you recall with Amy number 1, she talked about cutting when I used a gentle assumption. And what we're going to see here is that this Amy also had talked fairly openly about the idea that she had thought about cutting herself at the same time frame that the first video had demonstrated. Now, the one thing that was a little bit different when I'm interviewing this Amy is the degree of the angst. There's more angst, and there's sort of more a resignation. In other words, she too arrived at the reason to live. It was she wanted to be there for this remaining grandchild, and it was quite genuine in her. But the difference I think you're seeing in the tone of voice is that it's just so tough for her to do it. As much as she feels she needs to do that, there's just a pained resignation to it. So let's pick up this particular interview with this different matrix, a different Amy. One of the other things that I'm going to do is we're just going to let this one run. One of the neat things about that is without me stopping and interrupting, you're going to get an even better idea of the flow of the case approach. So without any further comments from me, let's see what we unfold when we work with this particular Amy to find out what her particular pain is like and what her particular suicidal potential might be. What do you think stopped you from cutting yourself that afternoon?
I need to be there for my granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have anybody else. I mean, there are no other grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't help my daughter-in-law out, there's going to
nobody
be
there.
nobody.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've all been through so much.
Mm-hmm. Looks like you feel it's your responsibility that she needs you.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Now, with all the pain that you've been having And it's clearly a struggle for you to do what you're doing, and you deserve a lot of credit for that. I'm just wondering what other kinds of thoughts you might have been having about suicide, because they come and go for different people in different ways. So what other ways have you thought of killing yourself, if any, over the past couple of months?
I had thought about hanging myself.
Okay. Did you actually get a rope out or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Now, when was that?
It was a little bit few days after the time in the bathroom with the razor blade.
Okay. Okay. So tell me just a little bit about that. So you were thinking about hanging yourself, and you say you got a rope out. And
Yeah.
where were you going to do that?
I have a favorite tree in the yard, actually. It's not really in the yard. It's way, way in the back. I've been climbing it since I was a kid. It's really important to me.
You actually live in the same house you grew up in.
Yeah.
Your parents gave that to
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, there's a rope swing out there, and I used to swing on it. And my son used to swing on it, and my granddaughter.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
So I
It's a special tree.
went to the tree.
A special tree.
Yeah.
So you had the rope out. Had you made it into a noose, Amy, or tried to make it into a noose?
Yeah.
And so then what happened next? What'd you do?
Well, I tried to climb it and hang the rope, and I couldn't do it.
What do you mean you couldn't do it?
I just couldn't do it. I'm old, and I couldn't get up, and
Okay.
I just couldn't do it.
Okay.
I couldn't make it happen.
And then what happened?
Well, I just, again, I need to be there for my granddaughter and my family, and I guess that just wasn't meant to be.
What did you do with the rope?
I don't know. It's back in the barn, I think.
Is it still in a noose, or?
Maybe, I don't know.